Alrighty guys, we're back for something a little different again today. We're going to go over 5 different aggro brews for March of the Machine Standard. So what are these brews? Well, we're going to check out mono green aggro as well as some mono white aggro. Then we're going to take a look at some Boros Monastery. Then we're going to wrap up the evening with a couple neat ones. Simic Cryptomancer, kind of sort of a budget build, but not really. We do have some rares in the mana base especially. And then Orzhov Angels, which you could make the argument is actually a mid-range build, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be super aggressive actually. So, all right, don't forget I have chapters on my videos with timestamps down in the description. And while you're down there, make sure you check out that Discord link and maybe even take a look at that join button if you're interested in becoming a channel member and supporting the channel that way. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the deck lists. First deck list of the evening, we got some mono green aggro. What do we got in the list here? I had to sort it by type just to fit everything on the screen. Check it out, guys. We got 29 creatures in here. Holy cow. 4 of them being Ascendant Pack Leader. Nice, powerful 1-drop. Got 4 Evolving Adaptives. Also a very powerful 1-drop. We have 4 Llanowar Gnome Speakers. Nice, helps us ramp a little bit. We got 4 Bloated Contaminators. Look at those stats, guys. Nice. We got a single Gwenna in here. It's going to pair well with a lot of our top end. We have 3 Polukranos Reborn. This is a 3-mana, 4/5 legendary creature Hydra with Reach. Dude, holy cow, those stats are terrific, huh? Now, we don't look at this ability too often because it's not going to happen too often, but we'll go over it real quick. So for 6 mana and 1 white Phyrexian mana, which we have no white mana in the mana base, so you're going to have to pay 2 for that. You can go ahead and transform Polukranos Reborn, and you can only activate this as a sorcery. When it transforms, it turns into Polukranos Engine of Ruin, which is a 6/6 reach lifelink, and when it dies or another non-token Hydra you control dies, create a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian Hydra creature token with Reach and a 3/3 green and white Phyrexian Hydra creature token with lifelink. Woo, buddy. Yep, looks pretty powerful, guys. But like I said, you're not going to transform this too often. It's really just in here as a 3-mana 4/5 reach, which is just absolutely disgusting, guys. Poor mono red going up against this card, huh? We got 4 evolved Spinoderms. We're leaning into the top end here. Spinoderm is terrific. I think the hexproof on this is actually just insane. And then eventually it loses that hexproof and gets trampled. Just everything about Spinoderm is powerful. Pairs nicely with the Gwenna as well, since it does have that 5 power, which is really cool. Speaking of 5 power, the rest of our top end also pairs well with the Gwenna. The single Silverback Elder, maybe this should be more than 1, but it's really hard to pack 5 drops into an aggro build. We already have 5 of them total in here. 2 of them being Thrune Breaker of Silence, very powerful. Kinda, sorta hexproof, but not really. Can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. As long as it's your turn, it has Indestructible as well, and then it has the Trample too. Dude, everything about Thrune, like, the only reason Thrune isn't seeing much play is because green isn't seeing much play in general. And you'd think Thrune would be powerful enough to go ahead and get green back on the board somehow, but we'll see if the Polukranos is enough to do it. We also have a couple other cards packed in here too, like a couple top-end Vorinclex here. This is a 5-mana 6/6 Trample Reach. Okay. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 2 forest cards, reveal them, put it into your hand. Honestly, pretty good, man. Thinning out the deck in a deck like this is huge. But then, for 6 and double green, you can exile Vorinclex, return it to the battlefield transformed under its owner's control. Of course, activate only as a sorcery is on there as well. So it comes out as the Grand Evolution then. Of course, it's a saga. First chapter, mill 10 cards. Put up to 2 creature cards from among the milled cards onto the battlefield. Okay, while there isn't like Titan of Industries in this build to hit off of this, that's fine. Honestly, you're not going to use that bottom ability too often. This is mainly in here as a 5-mana 6/6 Trample Reach that thins the deck out pretty good for you. So anyways, on the Grand Evolution, Chapter 2 distributes 7 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. Okay. And then on Chapter 3, until end of turn, creatures you control get pay 1 mana. This creature fights target creature you don't control. Oh my, and then exile the Grand Evolution, return it to the battlefield front face up, so it comes back as the Vorinclex as well. Yeah, I mean, everything about that just screams I'm about to win the game. So, so Vorinclex looks very good. So what else do we got packed in here then? We got Invasion of Ixalan. This is a battle siege. So as a siege enters, you choose an opponent to protect it, and you and others can attack it. When it's defeated, you exile it, then cast it transformed, and it has a defense of 4 on here, so you got to do 4 damage to it, which is going to be pretty easy with all these stats that we got packed in, huh? So when it enters the battlefield, you look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a permanent card from among them and put it into your hand, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I think this card in general just looks pretty cool, but of course if you do that 4 damage, which like I said is probably going to be pretty easy in this deck, it flips into the Belligerent Regisaur. So it's a 4/3 trample, not half bad already, but whenever you cast a spell, it gains indestructible until end of turn. That's pretty cool overall, I suppose. So if you cast a spell before combat, gets that indestructible, you swing on in, and indestructible 4/3 trample is solid, guys. I think just finding the permanents that you want to play on your following turns with the invasion is going to be good enough to try it out at least, so. Okay, we have some instant speed cards in here too. Tandem Takedown. Got 3 of them in here, guys. This is a 3 mana instant. It's got double green in that 3 mana. Up to 2 target creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. They each deal damage equal to their power to another target creature, planeswalker, or battle. Doesn't this look pretty decent, honestly, guys? Like, this is just gonna clean up so much. You don't play this right on turn 3. Well, maybe you do, honestly. If you're up against like mono red, you have a turn 1 Evolving Adaptive and a turn 2 Loam Speaker. A turn 3 Tandem Takedown might not be too bad to clean up some cards, man. At that point, your adaptives would be a 2/2 and Loam Speaker would be the 1/3. This would get +1/+0, so you get to do 2 damage to something, and then this would be a +1/+0, so it would be 3 damage to something off the takedown. I don't know, man. That might be able to clean up enough. I think it looks pretty solid, but overall, too, if you're in the late game and you have, like, your Pelucranos out there that has 4, you got, like, a Spinoderm, too, then you're just hitting for some seriously big damage. I think the +1/+0 is the most important part of this, because any of our 4-power creatures can then deal damage to Sheoldred and get that out of here, you know what I mean? In the meantime, you can deal damage to battles too, so the opponent doesn't even have to have creatures. You can just deal damage to your Invasion of Ixalan, which again, it's going to be really easy to flip this. So yeah, I like it. I have a single Who Endures and all 24 forests. Do we want more utility land in here? I don't know, man. I don't think so, especially not with the triple green on Pelucranos, right? So it depends. Maybe like Amirix, but no, I don't think so. Even then, you don't want to run into any issues. I think it's just better to have the, if anything, you could drop a force, go up a second Who Endures, depending on what the meta is. Even then, that's pretty risky, man, because the number of times the legendary on these legendary lands have actually held us up is a significant amount of time. So let's do some quick test draws down here, guys. Right, this is a pretty slow hand overall, but it might be keepable. Let's do a couple draws here. Forest, that's fine. Evolved Spinoderm, okay. So it might have been a slow hand, but overall it looks like the creatures might have enough power to withstand. So let's deal another hand here. There you go, huh? Turn 1, Ascendant Pack Leader. Turn 2, Invasion of Ixalan. We would get to see the top 5 and grab a card. That's pretty good. What do the top 5 look like? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What would we grab here? Oh, honestly, the Spinoderm probably, right? Because no, we don't have the 3rd land. Maybe we just grab the 3rd land. Play the 3rd land, then play the Gwenna that we already drew. Honestly, yeah, that looks good to me. One more. Okay, dude, yeah, I like these hands, man. Turn 1 Pack Leader, again. We could go turn 2 Invasion, but this time it's going to be Loam Speaker. Hope we draw the 3rd forest and then go into the Spinoderm, right? So turn 1, then turn 2 we'll get a draw. Yeah, there's the 3rd forest, so it'd be Loam Speaker, and then a turn 3 Evolved Spinoderm is absolutely disgusting. So yeah, very nice, guys. Let's go ahead and go over the next deck. The second deck list of the evening, Mono White Aggro. What do we got in the list here? We got 4 Crawling Chorus, mainly because it's a little bit sustainable with all the removal floating about in Standard right now. Now, if you remove this with a cut down, that's not the greatest target for cut down, so I really like Crawling Chorus. We have a couple Skrelvs in here. It's going to do wonders to help us protect things, and there's some toxic things, right, like the Crawling Chorus and stuff too. It's very possible that you finish an opponent with toxic, so because we also have 4 Skrelv's Hives here as well, just a very powerful enchantment. Ossification, going to be great removal. Here we go, here's a new one, Invasion of Gabakan. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a battle siege. And when it enters the battlefield, you look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast this way costs 2 more to cast. That's pretty solid, man. Just go ahead and take the board wipe out of the opponent's hand. Sounds good to me. Or make it so that way it costs a lot more. I think my favorite card that I'm going to be hitting with this, of course, is Farewell. Just make it 8 mana instead of the 6, right? So it is a battle, though, and it's only 3 defense, so it's going to be pretty easy to break this battle down. And the question is it going to be worth it? Yes, I believe so. It turns into a Light Shield Array. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that attacked this turn. Then you can always sacrifice Light Shield Array. Creatures you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Dude, holy cow. This card looks insane. This card looks really good, so we have to have cards in here that pair well with it too. So lots of ways to get extra creatures, like with the Skrelv's Hive and stuff. But then also, we have cards like Wedding Announcement to help us get more creatures, and of course, eventually buff all of them too. But here's another new one, Monastery Mentor, guys. This is a 3 mana 2/2 with Prowess. Okay. It's not the greatest stats necessarily, but the Prowess is nice. The bottom ability here, though, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with Prowess. Is this the right build for this style of card? I don't know, man, but there's a lot of non-creature spells packed in here. So a lot of great ways to go wide with this, as well as the announcement, as well as the Skrelv's Hive. I think it's going to be very easy to go wide in here. Kayla's Command, underplayed sorcery. Every time we've played with it, it's been an MVP in the decks that it's been fit into. So couple in the trenches, also helping us buff those wide board states, acting a little bit as late game removal as well, can be a very powerful card. A couple Adelines in here, might want 3, obviously very powerful creature. The top end, we got another new one here, Archangel Elspeth. This is a 4 mana 4 loyalty legendary planeswalker. It's got a +1 here where you create a 1/1 white soldier creature token with lifelink. Okay. Got a -2 where you can put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature. It becomes an angel in addition to its other types and gains flying. Oh, okay. And then it has a -6 here. Return all non-land permanent cards with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nice. It's non-land permanents. Doesn't say anything about creatures or anything, so yeah, it looks pretty good, man. I like it. A couple of them. We got a couple Wandering Emperors packed in here, too. We know the power of this. These are just like more ways to have more creatures hit the board without them actually being creatures, so that way they work with the Monastery Mentor. You know what I mean? The very top end, we have an Elspeth Resplendent. Yeah, just like we've played Elspeth Resplendent a few times as a one-of on the top end of Aggro brews, and it happens to just be ridiculous, and it helps you close up so many games. It can be as simple as giving flying to your Adeline and then swinging in for the victory. So, which I guess now we can do with the Archangel Elspeth as well, with that -2, right? So we have a single Seed of the Empire and a single Roadside Reliquary, as well as 22 planes packed in here, guys. I think the Roadside Reliquary is going to be completely fine in this deck. Lots of enchantments, lots of artifacts from the Skrelv's Hive and the actual Skrelv, and the 1/1 off the Crawling Chorus too, right? So if we take a look here real quick and we change it by type, we can see just how many non-creature cards there are, right? 14 enchantments, a single sorcery, 4 battles, and 5 planeswalkers. Only 12 creatures total, but look at how easy it is to go wide in this deck. That's pretty crazy, right? Overall, Is this how mono white aggro is going to look? I don't know, honestly. I have no idea. This is more of like a themed mono white aggro with the Monastery Mentor theme. But I do think it's going to be aggressive regardless. Let's go ahead and check out some test hands real quick here. Oh, right away. Yeah. Oh, wow. This is a great hand, dude. So turn 1, Crawling Chorus, right? Turn 2, if you want to remove their creature, probably not yet, right? You probably want to save ossification. It's going right into the invasion of Gabakhan. Then turn 3, Adeline. Wow, at that point you've drawn a couple cards too. More planes, not the greatest thing. Oh, I forgot to go ahead and switch the printing to the most recent planes here. Did I do that with any other cards here? Maybe. It's fine. Another test hand. Ooh, the worst one easily. Turn 1, Crawling Chorus, and that's the only thing. Let's see if we kept this, if we would see that land. Yeah, there we go. So we got to turn to potential ossification if we need it. We do need 3 land, though, for this hand in particular. So, okay. We eventually saw the planes, but I don't know. Maybe that was a mulligan. One more hand, guys. Let's go. Okay, I mean, it's probably a mulligan, right? But honestly, turn 2 Skrell's Hive isn't bad, and you're going to have a couple draws at that point. The opponent might have went first too. Maybe they're mono red, so maybe on our turn we draw. Yeah, see, pretty good. Turn 2, we play Skrell's Hive. We had another draw at that point. Regular Skrell, nice. Not bad, not bad. Yeah, I think this is going to be a solid one. I'm so excited to try them out, huh? Let's go ahead and check out the next build. Deck list number 3, Boros Monastery. All right, what do we got in the build here? Well, we are rocking the Monastery Mentor once again. I'll go over it just in case you're skipping around the video. It's a 3-mana 2/2 with Prowess, and then whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create a 1/1 white monk creature token with Prowess. Wow, nice. Okay, what else do we got in here? 4 Ancestral Anger is going to be terrific in the build. 4 Kumano Faces Kakazan's amazing. For Lawrence Escape, protection is going to be relatively important overall in a deck like this. We have 4 Monastery Swift Spears, matching that Monastery theme, right? So you got 4 Play with Fires naturally, a couple Blazing Crescendos, pretty good card overall. 4 Illuminator Virtuosos. Man, I love this card, and I'm going to miss when it rotates out later on this year, right? So 2 mana, 1/1 double strike, and it becomes a target of a spell you control. It can knive. So you draw a card, then discard a card. There's not a lot like that we're putting into the grave in this deck in particular. That like the connive isn't working too well with anything except for the Ancestral Anger, except giving this extra counters. And I think in this build in particular, that's completely fine, right? So fitting all the Prowess in here, Invasion of Gabakhan is going to be a pretty decent siege overall. And like I said, just in case you're skipping around the video, I'll go ahead and go over this one real quick. It's a 3 defense siege, and when it enters the battlefield, you look at target opponent's hand. You may exile a non-land card from it, and as long as that card remains exiled, I'm sorry guys, I'm kind of struggle reading these cards because I have to turn my head completely to the side. I wish it was displayed a little bit different on here. Anyways, as long as it remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast this way costs 2 more to cast, so pretty solid. And then it, of course, flips into the Light Shield Array. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature that attacked this turn, and then you can always sacrifice it for some protection, where creatures you control gain hexproof and indestructible. Just looks like a powerful card overall. A couple Lightning Strikes going to be important here. Go ahead and switch that printing to the most recent one, which I like to do. There we go, Lightning Strike. A couple of Valorous Stance, more protection, and a way to take care of Shieldred. That's all very important. A couple Angel Fire Ignitions. Now, this could be a card that you use with the Connive for Virtuoso, since it does have that flashback cost at the bottom, but it's obviously just much better to play this for 3 mana onto the Virtuoso, because it's 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, gains Vigilance, Trample, Lifelink, Indestructible, and has haste until end of turn. You know what's not too bad? You have like a turn 3 Monastery Mentor. On turn 4, if you play your 4th mana, maybe you play like Ancestral Anger on the Mentor. That's pretty good. It has the Prowess. Now it's up to like a 4/3 Trample because of the Anger, right? And then you get a 1/1 monk, and then you use the rest of your 3 mana, play an Angel Fire Ignition on that monk, give it haste and everything else, and that monk has Prowess too. I mean, that's just disgusting, dude. Holy cow, what a line of play, huh? The very top end of the build, actually have a couple Jayas packed in here. You know, when you're going wide, the -2 on Jaya is relatively decent. Then you can also create more monks here that give you that have 1/1, and it has prowess as well. So yeah, kind of fits the monastery theme, right? I probably should have just called it like Boros monks or something. Honestly, this works too though. Either way. 20 land total, of course, rocking the Battlefield Forge, and again, I forgot to switch it to the most recent printing for some reason. Okay, Suit of the Empire, we got our mountains, our plains, Crucible of Defiance, and of course all 4 Sundown Pass as well. Let's do some test hands real quick, shall we? Okay. That's a mulligan. Wow, that is a bad one, huh? Deal another hand. See what the mulligan looks like here. At this point, we would probably send the Valorous Stance? No. Probably the Escape, right? Would we keep all 3 land? Maybe we send the Mountain? Yeah, let's send the Mountain and see what we draw here the next couple turns. So we'd start by playing the Plains then. Virtuoso, we'd play Crucible, play the Virtuoso, right? That's pretty good. Another Plains. Nice. Okay, so we sent the Mountain back and we play the other Plains, and then we can go right into the Mentor. Or we would have the Lightning Strike and the Lauren's Escape open at that point too. So even though we had to mulligan, that was a pretty solid one overall, huh? Let's go ahead and deal another hand here. Okay, much better. Battlefield Forge. Yep. So it's going to be turn 1 Forge, Swift Spear. Turn 2 Virtuoso, right? That point we drew. Have an Ancestral Anger. Good draw. Another Mountain. Yep, excellent draw. Getting that 3rd mana for the Angel Fire Ignition onto the Virtuoso and stuff. Pretty gross, man. Pretty gross. I like it. Let's do 1 or 2 more hands. I could just sit here and do this all day. I was saying that a lot in the last video. I could just draw test hands and talk to you guys about them all day, honestly. But yeah, let's see. Okay. Turn 1 Swift Spear might not be the play here. And here's what, well, it depends. If you went first or second, right? If you went first, Swift Spear comes down. If you went second and the opponent has an open swamp, which happens all the time, dude, all the time. Open swamp, what do they have in hand? You guys know it, cut down, right? So I think it would be, because I was thinking Valorous Stance, maybe we wait to actually have the protection for Swift Spear, but honestly, probably not either way. We would probably risk it. Jaya, that's fine since we already had the 4 land. Ancestral Anger number 2, not terrible, especially if Swift Spear was actually able to survive. And Valorous Stance number 2. Fortunately, the biggest problem here with this hand was the Valorous Stance just being that 1 extra mana for the purpose of having utility on here to be able to destroy that creature does slow down this hand a good deal overall. So let's deal another hand here. Battlefield Forge. Oh, see, I don't know, man. This might be a mulligan. All right, let's mulligan and see what we send back. Oh, much better, huh? We would probably just send the Plains at this point. Well, nah, we'll keep that. I was going to say, we have a lot of red sources here, but we probably want to play as fast as possible. So we would send the pass back, right? We'd go turn 1 Swift Spear, swing in, depending on what the opponent did, right? If the opponent has that open swamp, then you'd probably turn 1 Commando Faces Kakazan, because on turn 2, getting a 2/2 double strike off of Virtuoso is pretty solid already, but what you'd probably do is go right into the Swift Spear and then have the Play with Fire open, right? Because, well, no, Sundown Pass we sent back, and Sundown Pass is still a tapped land that we drew off of, so we wouldn't have the double red to actually pull that off. So it really depends, doesn't it? Ooh, Monastery Swift Spear. Good draw. All right, guys, so that's the list. I think it looks pretty decent. Obviously, it could probably be optimized. After we actually are able to play with these decks, all of them will have a chance to be optimized much better, but I think Monastery Mentor just looks like an absolutely disgusting card overall. Even if the opponent has the cut downs for it, it's going to be so easy to protect the Mentor. You could just like Play with Fire the opponent's face, Prowess buffs it to a 3/3, and then boom, nice, easy peasy, right? So yeah, let's go ahead and check out the next list, shall we? Deck list number 4, Simic Cryptomancer. This is going to be a fun one, guys. What do we got packed in here? We got 4 Audacities. There is an enchantment theme packed in, so we have 4 Generous Visitors. Nice. 4 Slip Out the Back's going to be very essential to this build. We have a couple Tameo Safekeeping. Not bad. A couple Witness Protection, one that we don't get to see too often. But I just adore this card. It's a 1-mana aura enchantment, so it does work with like the Generous Visitor. Enchanted creature loses all abilities, and it's a green and white citizen creature with base power 1/1 named Legitimate Business Person. It's not bad removal. It really isn't that bad, guys, at all. Loses all abilities is huge, man. Turn Shieldred into a legitimate business person for 1 blue mana and get some benefits off of Visitor. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take it, right? Cradle of Safety. Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, depending on what the meta turns into, maybe we go up to 3 Witness Protections and go down to 1 Cradle of Safety because we have so much extra protection packed in here already. Anyways, Cradle of Safety we don't get to see too often either. 2-mana aura with Flash. Enchant creature you control. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and when it enters the battlefield, enchanted creature gains hexproof until end of turn, which could come in handy quite often, honestly. So yeah, a couple of them. Got a couple Kami of Transience as well. I think this is our only rare and our main outside of the lands, so that's pretty cool. And you might want actually going up to 4 of these too, or maybe we do drop that 1 Cradle and go up the 3rd Kami of Transience at least. It's just like more creatures might be necessary, but it depends too. So got 4 Make Disappears in here. Ew, counter spells, gross. But it's going to be pretty important in this one, honestly, because we have other flash cards, not just the Cradle of Safety, and obviously other instant cards too to keep open for protection for our creatures. So if you're keeping all that open, then it's always a good idea to have some counter spells too. Single Negate in here as well. You guys already know I like to switch to the most recent printing. Should have done that before recording the video, honestly, but that's fine. Okay. Here's the card of the day, guys. I mean, the card of the deck is what I meant to say there. It's a 2-mana 0/1 flash. It has backup 1, so when this creature enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following ability. What's the following ability? Hexproof. Oh my, this looks pretty good, honestly. I don't even know where to begin. I don't know exactly what deck this wants to be in. I do know it wants to be in this deck, though. Is this deck gonna be good? I don't know. I think it actually might be pretty decent, and Cryptomancer kind of looks insane, dude. It can always just back itself up, too, so now it's a hexproof 1/2. I mean, it keeps the hexproof, guys. It doesn't lose that hexproof, so now anything you put onto it, Audacity, anything like that, the opponent can't just spot remove it, which is huge. How much spot removal could we name right now that's just everywhere in the meta? All of it. They're playing all of the spot removal in every single deck, guys. I don't know, dude. Hexproof just on the creature, and then of course you can flash this in, have it be a 0/1, put that counter on something else to have that other thing gain that hexproof as well. I don't know, dude. It looks really good. I think the card looks really good, but we'll see, I suppose, right? Got 4 security bypasses in here. This is going to be a terrific one to put onto the Cryptomancer because as long as Enchanted Creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. And then Enchanted Creature has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, it connives. Dude, holy cow, man. So not only could you be plugging all those extra counters off of the Visitor onto the Cryptomancer, but now you're putting a security bypass and you're swinging in and the opponent can't block it and they can't spot remove it. And then they try dropping a board wipe and you just casually slip it out the back real quick. And yeah, dude, sounds really cool, doesn't it? We have 4 Storm Chaser Drakes, just going to be a terrific card in here. In general, the flying is awesome too, and just being able to keep our hand stocked is going to be terrific. Then a little bit of an oddball on the top end here. For 4 mana, it's an Aura Enchant creature. Enchanted creature has +3/+3 and Ward 2. Oh, okay, well then. +3/+3 isn't half bad. 4 mana is a lot of mana, but Ward 2 is pretty decent, man. The main reason, though, I'm willing to pack this in here is that cycling too. That's not that bad, guys. 2 mana, discard this card, draw a card. You never know when that's going to come in handy. Of course, it fits the enchantment theme with the Visitor and the Kami of Transience, too. Yeah, dude, this deck's going to be a fun one, man. Is this the optimized way to play Simic? Probably not, but I think there might actually be some power here. I mean, I might just be terribly wrong, and Cryptomancer might actually just be a terrible creature. Yeah, I mean... I don't know though. I think it actually looks pretty decent. I think it's going to be very, very annoying for opponents to deal with, especially once we start equipping enchantments and plugging counters onto it as well. So in the mana base, guys, we do have 21 lands. Of course, Who Endures, got the Cascade, the Coast, Soaring City. We got some forests and islands, of course, right? We need those. Let's do some test draws, man. Let's see what we got down here. Ooh. Ew. I mean, I guess, right? We would try it, I guess. We would go turn 1 Cascade, get that out tapped real quick. You know, turn 2, let's draw. Ooh, Visitor, nice. So turn 2, we get the Kami of Transience down, hope that it survives. Turn 3, ooh, turn 3, we could play Coast, Visitor, and Kami of Transience, but none of them got any buffs yet. We're really just setting up for when we do drop that Witness Protection to get a bunch of buffs, right? At that point, the opponent probably already removed a decent amount of these overall. See Who Endures. So on that next turn, we drop the Witness Protection, get some buffs, but overall, they probably chump with this Witness Protection into the Visitor and let the Kami of Transience go through because it has Trample as well. Let's deal another hand and see if we can see something a little better, huh? Yeah, 4 mana again here. Okay, we do have the turn 1 Visitor and turn 2 Bypass, which isn't bad, but still no protection for these creatures. Very sketchy. Let's see what we would have drawn. Bypass, okay. Cradle to Safety, okay. That's good, that's good. I think this was a decent handover. Let's try again. Maybe if we see 4 mana, we'll mulligan this time. I guess if we see no mana, we mulligan too. Let's see what the mulligan would look like. Okay, we would definitely just send the crystal carapace back, right? Is that how you pronounce that? Did I even say this card when I went over it? The crystal aura, I don't know what to call it, honestly. We'd send that back for sure. Having the 2 Cryptomancers here would be huge, an ability to slip out the back whenever the opponent tries to actually board wipe these too. I love it. Make disappear is nice. Let's see what we would have drawn. Remember, we had to send the crystal carapace back, right? Cascade, okay, more land. Oh, more land. Oh, yeah, see, nothing to actually equip to the Cryptomancer. Okay, one more hand, one more. Okay. Yeah, this is, I mean, we don't have a turn 1 Visitor, but that's fine. So we go Cascade, turn 2 Visitor, keep an island open for slip out the back. Opponent's like, oh, check out my cut down. And I'm like, oh, check out my slip out the back. Visitor is now phased out. It's going to come back with that +1/+1 counter. Kami of Transience, great draw, but we'd probably go Drake. Maybe Witness Protection or whatever creature they have, and put the counter onto Drake for the flying. I guess it would be Kami of Transience. Witness Protection gets that extra counter onto Transience too, and then you could just plug that other counter onto Transience as well. At that point now, we don't have protection for the Kami of Transience, but at least it's out of cut down range, right? More forests. Ugh, maybe we want to talk about going down to 20 lands instead. I don't think 19 land is where you want it, though. I think 20 would be fine. You know, you're going to be keeping your hand nice and stocked, and you always want to have mana open for some of your protection spells, like Cradle to Safety, Slip out the Back, Safekeeping, and the Cryptomancer as well. So, all right, guys, let's go over the last list of the evening. Last but not least, we got some Orzhov Angels to check out. What do we got in the list? Lunarch Veteran, gonna be a very important turn 1 card for this build. Very powerful creature overall, of course, gaining 1 life every time a creature enters the battlefield under your control is pretty good, right? Ellis Ilkor also does that, right? So whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. However, whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Now that happens to be very good. It's not an angel, but packed in a deck like this, it's going to be very good, mainly because we have Voice of the Blessed in here. This is a 2 mana 2/2 rockin' double white up there. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Voice of the Blessed. As long as Voice of the Blessed has 4 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it has Flying and Vigilance, and as long as it has 10 or more counters, doesn't happen too often, but it does happen, It gains indestructible. Well, yep, very powerful card. A deck like this, guys, I mean, mono red or something like that is just gonna cry every time it sees a deck like this. You're gonna be gaining so much life, and they need to remove so much early on to make it so that it doesn't get out of hand. But like a turn 1 veteran, turn 2 Voice of the Blessed is always going to be powerful. So Soul Partition, guys, great removal. We can actually hit our own creatures as well. Return them to our hand. We do have a lot of ETBs in here, so it could kind of sort of act as protection in that sense where we can just recast it later on. Okay, a single invasion of New Capenna here. It's a battle siege, and when it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another artifact or creature, and when you do, exile target artifact or creature an opponent controls. Okay, that's not bad. Like, you don't mind sacrificing some of your own creatures. If you sacrifice a Lunarch Veteran, I mean, you do have the disturb cost. You can eventually bring it back as the Luminous Phantom. That's fine and dandy, I suppose. But you also don't have to do that. You could just play it as the battle, which has 4 defense, by the way. So whenever you get rid of that 4 defense, it does turn into the Holy Frazzle Cannon, which is an equipment with an equip cost of only 1. Whenever a equipped creature attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature and each other creature you control that shares a creature type with it. Oh, okay, yeah. No, that seems pretty good, man, because if you're swinging in with your angels and all of your angels get a buff from the Holy Frazzle Cannon, I think it's going to be worth trying at least that one of in here, you know? We have all 4 Giada, Font of Hope, of course, very powerful angel. The most powerful angel in here, regardless of what new angels we have to go over, right? Just going to do wonders overall. And the legendary kind of matters because in the mana base we do have a single Plaza of Heroes in here as well. So, all right, 3 mana cards, guys. Guardian of Aggro. I don't know how to pronounce that one bit. This is a 3 mana 3/3 flying angel. Okay. When it enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 other target creature or artifact you control. Return it to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So that's going to pair pretty well with like the Ellis Ilkor and the Lunarch Veteran, where this enters, you're gaining some life, and then the creature gets exiled, and then it gets returned, and then you're gaining even more life. And at that point, if you had the Voice of the Blessed on the board too, this card's just popping off ridiculous amounts. So I think this is going to be a very solid angel in here, and so many great cards to pair with this as well. Inspiring Overseer being one of them, has that ETB where you gain a life and draw a card. It's cards like this that make the deck aggressive, in my mind, right? Like I said, I think I mentioned it earlier, you could consider this a mid-range build because we have a lot of, I guess, mid-game threats, but dude, I'm telling you, this deck is going to be aggressive. Imagine the lineup, right? Turn 1 Lunarch Veteran, turn 2 Voice of the Blessed, turn 3 Inspiring Overseer. The opponent is sweating, guys. Turn 4, what have you got? That Guardian. Play the Guardian, bounce the Overseer out of here. You're gaining more life off the Lunarch Veteran. Inspiring Overseer comes back at the end. You're drawing even more. You're gaining even more. Voice of the Blessed is like just obliterating the opponent's face at that point. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I could definitely see the argument for mid-range, but I do think it's going to be aggressive. I can't wait to actually play with the list, right? Okay, mana value 4, we have a couple Archangel of Wraths in here. A small splash of red in the mana base, but I'm not too concerned about it at all. The small splash is just a couple Battlefield Forge. Like I said, I'm not worried about it. It's just a lifelink angel that pairs well. Flying lifelink angel that pairs well with like everything in here. Most of the time you'll kick it just for the black mana, and that is completely a-okay. Very powerful. Here's a new one, guys. Draina and Linvala. It's a 4 mana legendary creature vampire angel. That's cool, huh? So there's a 3/4 flying vigilance, not bad. Activated abilities of creatures your opponents control can't be activated. Okay. Draina and Linvala has all activated abilities of all creatures your opponents control. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any color to activate those abilities. So it seems like a utility card overall, but I think just the fact that it has angel is enough to give this a try. You got a turn 2 Giada and a turn 3 3/4 flying vigilance that comes in with a counter because of the Giada. So it's a 4/5 flying vigilance on turn 3 if you're ramping with Giada. Dude, That's some stats, man. Holy cow, huh? Mana value 5, we have a single Eliza, Forgotten Archangel in here. Forgotten indeed. It almost didn't make the list. Now it's a 5 mana legendary creature angel with a 4/5. It's flying, lifelink, pretty good. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. And if a creature an opponent controls dies, exile it instead. That could be very important, honestly. Everything on this card seems relatively decent. So we have a couple Boonbringer Valkyries, another new one. This is a 5 mana 4/4 flying first strike lifelink. Holy cow. Backup 1. When this creature enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following abilities. So, dude, the lines of play in here are so disgusting, man. I don't even know where to begin in talking about it. So we'll just do some test draws and talk about it there, right? So, and in the mana base, I talked about the Battlefield Forge, the Plaza of Heroes. Of course, we have all 4 caves. We have all 4 Shattered Sanctums, and we actually have all 4 Scoured Barrens in here too, mainly because of the life gain, but also since we're splashing that black mana in here, it's really like a mono white build with a splash of black overall for the Elisil Core, the Draina, the Forgotten Angel, and the black kicker cost on the Archangel, right? I think this is going to be great. I don't know how often it's going to slow us down though, right? 8 planes and then a single Seat of the Empire. Uh-oh. We missed Steel Seraph here. This is an important one, guys. Usually it's going to be a 3 mana prototype card for 1 and double white. It'll be a 3/3 then. It has flying at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn. Very powerful card overall. Actually, I don't know why we went over it. We actually see this card a fair bit. I apologize for going over this card, guys. However, if you do prototype this out, if you have like a turn 4 Guardian, you can use this ability, exile the Steel Seraph, and when it comes back, it's not going to be prototype anymore. It's going to be a 5/4 flying and still have that ability, so that's a pretty cool combo as well. A lot of great 3-drop angels to drop after the Giada. A lot of great 4-drop angels. Actually, just a lot of great angels in general, huh? Do a couple test draws real quick here. Here's the first one. Actually, not bad at all, huh? We go turn 1 Scoured Barrens. We wouldn't have the veteran, unfortunately. Turn 2, Plaza of Heroes into the Elisil Core. That is terrific. Turn 3, Shattered Sanctum comes down, and then you can play veteran into Voice of the Blessed, and Voice of the Blessed might be a 4/4 at that point. Now, we'd obviously have a couple draws at that point, too. Another Shattered Sanctum, Soul Partition. Pretty good, man. That's a really good lineup. Here's another one. Okay, yep. Turn 1 planes. That's fine. Shattered Sanctum slow. Let's see if we draw into the untapped land here. We do not, so Shattered Sanctum would come out. We'd just have a lonely little veteran on turn 2. What about turn 3, though? See, we're not seeing the 3rd land here. Elisil Core can drop. We'd gain a life off of the veteran. It's not looking too great, though. Let's see if we can see that land. We do not, but Voice of the Blessed is great. If we were able to keep the Elisil Core and Lunarch Veteran alive, which probably not at that point, Elisil Core especially has a big target on its back, so not seeing the 3rd mana is pretty bad. There we go, Shattered Sanctum. Eventually. Okay, here's another one. For a land in the opener, it's much slower, though, but turn 1, Scoured Barrens, completely fine, right? Turn 2, planes into the Voice of the Blessed, terrific. Turn 3, other planes into Steel Seraph, give like Voice of the Blessed lifelink or flying to get some damage through. Absolutely disgusting. At that point, we would have drawn a couple cards too. Elisil Core, oh buddy, dude, the lines of play in this one looks disgusting. One more. One more test hand, I mean. Okay, so a couple turns of Lunarch Veterans, that's fine. Let's see what turn 2 draw would have been. Soul Partition, it's good to see some removal. Can we see the 3rd mana, though? We sure can. On time for turn 3, we could get the Inspired Overseer down, and maybe if we don't see 4th land, we would go into Guardian. Yeah, turn 4 Guardian, bounce the Overseer. We actually would have drawn off the Overseer, too. I forgot about that. So yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Overall, I think the deck looks pretty terrific. I'm so excited to play with these ones, guys. Hey, if you made it this far into the video, for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you. Let me know which list was your favorite down in the comments. Which one are you most excited to see? They're kind of like all over the place. I definitely try to do that. Like, I didn't want 5 similar aggro decks. I wanted 5 aggro decks that were vastly different from one another. You know what I mean? And then we threw in an aggro mid-range deck for the last one. Either way, guys, hey, y'all are champions for real, and I will see you in the next video.